It's the World Center of Racing. Welcome here to Daytona International Speedway for the LWRC Cup Series season opener at Daytona. My name is Charlie Baier. My colleague Kenneth Bueno is having a bit of issues right now, so he will be here momentarily. He's just having a bit of internet issues, but he'll be here momentarily. But for now, it's just me. We're getting ready to go green flag racing here. Colby Wells is your pole sitter for today's race. But again, before we get into our festivities, we're going to go ahead and slide ourselves aside for the national anthem. So please rise, remove your hats as we honor our nation's colors and we honor those who have fallen on Memorial Day. Again, we thank you for honoring our nation's colors, and with Memorial Day, we honor those who have fallen. With Memorial Day, we do see a lot of very good-looking patriotic cars, but that aside here, we're getting ready to go green for the first time here, and the pace car is off,
Green flag,
and Colby Wells will lead them to the green flag. Turn number one, Colby Wells with the advantage. That 42 car right behind him with Cole Williams. So far, so good. Top line is dissipating a little bit, but I wouldn't doubt that we go and see that outside line regain a bit of traction. There's Brady Byron on the outside, trying to make a bit of ground with the 11. Behind him, no. Off turn number 4, lap number 1 is going to be led by Colby Wells in that number 4 car. Kenneth?
Yes, I'm here.
Alright.
Sorry, there was some technical difficulties. I had some trouble getting to the session specifically, but now that we are green, it's already been lap 2 already. You see Colby Wells up in front. You see the two lines already formed. Seems as though they've kind of broken away from the rest of the field. You see Colby Wells, the 26 of Eli O'Quinn, Wheeleman behind them, and then 51, and then so on in this 3-car pack at the top. And now that we've seen these guys sort of break out, you see some moves happening up front, but right now we're seeing some really risky moves up in the front right now.
Yeah, but I'm not really surprised. It is Daytona. You do have a lot of room to work with, so it's easy to make those moves and it's easy to make them stick. We're definitely seeing them here. But Kobe Wells staying out front with Eli O'Quinn moved up to second place behind him to help.
Now, I know this is just a little bit late because I know that I was going to mention it on the introduction when we went live, but since the technical difficulties happened, I wasn't able to mention it, but now that I am here and now that things are working well now, I want to ask, I know we've had 2 super speedway races already within KBRN. We had the Trexco iRacing League at Talladega, and then of course we had the Bungeon Lawn Care Series at Daytona not too long ago. And is this sort of like a third charm? You think we may have learned a little bit more from broadcasting these types of races?
Oh, definitely. You know, as you watch these races a lot more, you start to analyze, you know, just the different types of strategies you see here. There's the guys who run up front and want to go for it that early, and there's the guys who stay in the back and try to kind of conserve their race car. But you know, with a lesser car count, I would try to go up front. I would try to go for it because usually in the big pack, usually somewhere someone will mess up. But in this little pack, it's pretty fun to race around, and I would just go up front and try to go for it.
Yeah, one of the guys gunning for it right now is the 95 of Paul Granado. Has moved himself up to the front of the inside line, and now he's challenging for the lead just outside of the 11, who's still trying to make a move on the outside. But so far, it seems as though they've been fairly separated just a little bit. They haven't been too close over the course of the run, but I feel like over this run, we might see some more moves being made.
Yep, and Jack Bolt J in that 11 car starting to make some ground on the outside. I believe that's the 01 of Hunter Ellis helping a little bit. And lots of fanning out there, and the 01 gets turned around in the tri-oval.
01 around on the front straightaway. They will see if they'll throw the caution flag. Yes, they do. The 01 is around on the front straightaway facing the outside wall, and we'll take a look and see what happened there. I believe he was turned going down there with the mess with Jack Bolche in the 11, who was involved in that mess. We'll take a look and see what happened. You see the whole pack happening right here, and looks like Jack Bolche just, oh my goodness, I believe he just got loose up there and kind of started that chain reaction. Then the 26 gets into the 01. 01 goes around and is able to keep it clean. Looks like nobody else hit him, so he'll continue without damage. But already some chaos here on lap number 6.
Yeah, and kind of an odd wreck. The 11 car just kind of jumped upwards, and another car just kind of came up and made contact with him. So under caution for the first time here at Daytona, and I wouldn't count out that this won't be our last.
Yeah, no, I know we've run some laps here at Daytona, especially with these Cup cars, and with the setup that they have on iRacing, it's a little bit looser than you expect it to be. I remember the first time I ran it, I was shocked to see how loose it was on the racetrack. And of course, we saw in the Bungeon Lawn Care Series on, I believe that was Sunday last week, we saw somebody get loose. It was Carl Faust in the number 12. If you watch the broadcast, he got loose down on the front straightaway, and then that sent him into the wall. And it is very, very loose. It's looser than you really expect. And I think in the draft, it just really, really gets snappy, and you kind of have to watch where the car's going.
Yeah, and that downforce definitely does play a factor in the snappiness and the looseness of the race car, both at the same time, really. You know, the downforce usually comes into play when you're driving in a straight line, but if you get that back end starting to turn around, and you get the spoiler to get turned, all that downforce is gone. So, you know, even if you get that car turned around a little bit, you know, it's up to you to save the race car, and it's kind of a hard task to save a race car like that. So pit stop's going to happen here. Paul Granada, spins into the pit road. That was a pretty cool move. Everyone, yeah, but everyone going into pit road besides the 76 of Jaden Lawson. We're going to have to see how they stack up coming out of pit road.
Yeah, Paul Granada pulled a little bit of a Tokyo drift going into the pit road. I wasn't sure what he was doing there, but the whole field stacks up on the pit road. You see somebody, Jack Bolche, I believe that, I'm not sure who that might have been. I believe that was, but here is the race off of pit road. Look at the race off there. The 51 wins the race off of pit road. See the rest of the guys forming through. Paul Granada's involved in that group as well. And some guys that were up in the front are now starting to lose ground on pit road.
Yeah, and strategy is definitely coming into play. Some guys definitely, obviously took a shorter strategy. Maybe that's 2 tires or no fuel to try to jump out front, and that obviously worked here. As people like Paul Granada and Colby Wells, who were up front, are now dropping to the back.
All right, so first round of pit stops are underway, and they are done. So we have the first set of pit stops underway, and what might be a lot more pit stops to come, especially if we have a longer green flag run. And Jaden Lawson was one of the men who stayed out, practically the only driver who stayed out on the racetrack. And I think he might be going for a longer strategy, maybe extending his run just a little bit more, and possibly pitting throughout the event. But it's 70 laps, so there's still a lot of racing left to go, and I think we'll still have a lot more strategy to play in.
Yeah, but this is the opportunity for cars like him to jump out front and lead some laps here. It definitely opens up the door, when everyone else pits, and people like Colby Wells and Paul Granada, who are in the early lead, drop to the back. So it'll be fun to watch those guys get up to the front. But for now, Jaden Lawson will looking to lead some laps here at Daytona. Pace car lights, I believe, are off, so we are 1 to green here. We're going to get back going pretty shortly.
Yes, sir, we are, and these guys are gonna come up together 2 by 2 by 2 all the way down. There's some guys trying to catch up. Colby Wells is one of those drivers. You see those drivers back there trying to make up some ground and file in before we go green here. And is there really anything you expect to see right now, especially coming from some of these drivers? It's very early in the run, but I know we've already seen some aggressive racing between some of these guys. Is there some sort of strategy you have to play, especially early in this race, but do you think that kind of gets thrown out the window?
Well, I think there is a sense of aggressiveness for early on in the race. You want to get up front, you want to lead. The image you want to paint yourself in these play races is the guy who ran up front and led laps early on, because it's kind of a a lot of people take the conservative approach, hang out in the back, but there definitely is a sense of aggressiveness, and there's definitely a sense of conservativeness as people start to drop to the back and kind of stay there, try to avoid more future wrecks. So yeah, that definitely is a thing here, natural at Daytona. So yeah, we're gonna see it here.
Well, right before we go green, if you want to join the conversation in the YouTube chat, you could do that by using hashtag AskKBRN, and you can ask any question to both of us in the booth, and we'll be sure to answer that throughout the broadcast. But right now, tensions are going up. The pace car is on pit road, and we are ready to bring it back green. Jaden Lawson, Wheelman up front. Green flag is back out.
In turn number 1 of the 76 car is clear for the lead. That 24 car of Logan Hartman staying right behind him. Bit of a gap there. Logan's gonna get a gap. Logan's gonna run, and Brady Weileman in that 51 car is gonna try to surge out front.
Yeah, these guys are forming very, very quickly between these three up front, the 51, the 39, and the 46. Jaden Lawson gets shuffled out into the middle. Now he's going to have to fend for himself as Paul Granada gets way loose on the racetrack. He's able to keep it straight, but oh my goodness, that would have been a heart-stopping moment for the man behind him in the 32 Ford Mustang. That was rough for Jaden Lawson and Paul Granada. And Paul Granada, I believe he raced, oh my goodness, he gets way loose now, almost into the wall, but oh, there he goes. He gets punted right there by the 4 of Colby Wells. Another scary moment. You see some more guys getting loose, but I believe he was part of the Bundren Lawn Care Series that we saw just last week, and I believe he was part of the race. I'm not sure whether he was in the entry, but I believe he was, and I think he has just a little bit more experience than some of the guys in the field when it comes to these races, especially recently, because I know some guys maybe don't race this track as much. As you see some guys just kind of forming. Boy, everyone's getting loose off of here on the 4.
Yeah, and back to Paul Granada. That car went through a lot in those last 3 corners, saving, getting punted. That is an impressive performance to keep that race car going in a straight line. But back up front here, Brady Weileman with Adam Kirker in that 39 car to help. They're out front here, but an outside line is trying to assemble. but right now they're falling back a little bit. But it will assemble, and we'll see if it can get out front.
Yeah, ever since Jaden Lawson got shuffled through the middle, and then the whole deal with Paul Granada, that sort of separated these guys between the rest of the field. The 46 and the 26 continue to work together on the high side, but we saw this multiple times in the races that we've covered in the super speedway races, that the outside line is sort of a weird place to be, because you kind of get the run off of the corners, and then into the corners the guys on the inside get the bigger run since they're the shortest way around the racetrack. But I think if you're on the outside, it's a very odd place to be. You kind of have to hold your ground, and you kind of have to hope that some of the guys on the inside line either break up or join you on the outside.
Yeah, and the more the better, as we see a lot of cars starting to line up. It's all getting the most help that you can to try to surge up to the front, but sometimes people want to stay on the bottom, and it's kind of hard to assemble that group that wants to go to the front, especially still we're pretty early in this race. So. Yeah, you see Paul Granada trying to assemble a little bit of a group. There comes the 24 hopping up, 39 hopping up. Now we're getting the outside lane rolling.
There they go. They are finally rolling. Paul Granada, who was shuffled back earlier in the run, is now back up to third on the outside lane. 46 and the 26 continue to work together, but now that they have some numbers, they can put up a good fight for the lead, and now they go. The 39 of Kirker to the outside, and the 51 still trying to hold their ground. We should go on board with one of these drivers and see what their life is. You see the driver going back. I believe he's falling back in the field just in precaution, per se, just to kind of watch out if these guys ever get involved. You see the onboard camera, just a beautiful shot. That's Logan Hartman in the 24 getting the work done.
Yeah, and a common thing for iRacing plate racing is bunny hopping for the race lead. Usually the top two cars on the bottom lane, usually the second car will hop up, get the outside lane going, and leapfrog up front. And oh, Colby Wells in the wall hard.
Colby Wells into the wall, gets set, is up in the air, flipping over. Oh my goodness, he gets hit by Jaden Lawson. The 42 was involved in that. There was somebody back there that was also involved, but a hard hit for the 4 of Colby Wells, who just got sent into the air off of turn number 2. And we'll see what happened. These guys were getting very snappy loose to the bottom. Let's take a look here and see what just transpired down there. You see the 4 gets hit in the door, but that 24 gets turned up into the 24. And then a slam by the 42 and the 46 sends them in the air. And then even more so from the 75 of Jaden Lawson. But a huge hit for the 4. That's gonna dent his night for sure.
Yeah, and it looks like that engine is toast. He might get a push back to the pit lane, or he'll just have to tow. So unfortunate for him. He was having a good run. I know he's one of the experienced iRacers. I raced with him before on a pit track. But yeah, it looks like he's stuck on the apron looking to get a push from someone. We'll just have to see. Yeah, it looks like the 11 car will go help him out.
Yeah, Jack Bolje with the community award helping out the number 4. Get down to pit road, and boy, hard damage for the 4. He was running fairly well up there. You know, I know he lost positions on that last pit stop, but he was working himself back up there in the small pack, and you see some more damage from, I believe that's the 46 of Ricky Mandonca. He's smoking on the racetrack, but he's able to keep it going. I believe he'll be able to go to pit road. The 46 was also involved in that as well. Boy, just a hard hit for most of these drivers. They're looking like modifieds already here in lap 16.
Yeah, and that 42 car with Cole Williams also did get caught up in that. His eject hasn't expired, but it is smoking pretty bad, not as blown and damaged as the 4 car. But they're looking to get back to the pit lane, but we'll see if there's any takers into the pits. Looks like Josh Duke. Yeah, everyone's coming back down. Reddy Weileman will lead them down as Josh Duke, who also started to move up front. We'll come down with him.
Yep, everybody down pit road, and the leaders, all of them, just spread down to pit road. Paul Granada also had a scary moment here. He kind of locked up the brakes a little bit. He also locks the brakes going into his pit stop. Almost misses it completely, but he's able to keep it going. You see the guys getting pit stops, and especially the guys with damage now working their way around. And the 32, he's looking to make a charge to the front with a pit stop, and he does.
Yeah, and the order is shuffling once again here, as we've seen in the past pit stops. Josh Duke is the first out of pit road. Eli O'Quinn, who started to move himself up through the pack and towards the front, does come out second. Birdie Wallerman in that 51 car does come out third. Paul Granada, 95, fourth place, and Logan Harmon rounds out your top 5 out of pit road.
So now the pit cycle has finished here with the pit stop second time tonight. The second caution of the night as well. The 32 of Duke now leads the field of 26, follows right behind him. And if you see something out here on the racetrack, it is definitely those beautiful red, white, and blue schemes we're seeing throughout the field. Of course, today is Memorial Day, and of course, everyone here at KBRN thanks all the men and women who fought and are still fighting for our freedoms here in this country today. So, a beautiful day to celebrate and commemorative celebration for those people. And I know that these drivers are really showing their love for the country tonight and for those men and women. So it's a beautiful thing to see these guys. You see the 32 is that coming back down pit road. I'm not sure if there might have been something missed on the pit stop, but he's going down pit road, so he's gonna give up the lead here.
Yeah, and I think I saw him having a bit of trouble entering his pit stall on pit entry there, so he might go back down, try to get caught up with pit service, and he'll be back out here pretty surely. Kobe Wells did get his lap back, got a little wave around there, and he's going to be back on the lead lap, and he's going to charge back up to the front, but Eli O'Quinn is your race leader now.
And he also got that faster pair, so he'll be fresh as new when we go back green here tonight. So second caution of the night here at Daytona. We've had already some chaotic racing and some pretty big wrecks, but now that we have our break, we'll take a break on our side, and we'll be right back for more action from the Daytona International Speedway live on KBRN. You're watching the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series.
Back at North Wilkesboro, North Carolina, where the field is rolling out for the start of today's 400-lap race on this .625-mile racetrack. And just as the field comes around turn number 4, the sunshine peeks through, helping warm things here. Bill Elliott leads him down. Benny Parsons on the outside. The green flag flies, and the first Union 400 Winston Cup race from North Wilkesboro is underway. Everybody nicely through turns number 1 and 2 as Bill Elliott has the lead, and Dale Earnhardt has jumped into second position, followed by Benny Parsons and Bobby Allison. So here we go. It's just about to go away. They bump coming out of turn 4. Earnhardt gets the lead. We had just heard from our spotters that Neil Byron. Dale Earnhardt is on his last lap. This will be his 24th career win. Dale Earnhardt wins the first Union 400 at North Wilkesboro.
Welcome back to the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series round number 1, the Daytona 500, and the pace car has already given us the 1-to-go signal and is now down to the front stretch. So we'll be giving green flag action as soon as the pace car dips into pit road, and it will within the next 2 seconds. There it goes, and we will go back green. Lap 19 after the second caution of the night. Green flag is back out.
And Eli O'Quinn and Paul Granada, both Nova SimSport drivers, they're behind each other to help. And we'll have to see if Paul Granada is loyal and stays behind him. But I wouldn't doubt that he jumps up and tries to take the race lead away. But a bit of an advantage here as the top line did dissipate going into turn number 1. So it's trying to assemble once again. That 11 car is hopping up. And here it comes.
Yep, here was the rebuild on the outside lane between Jack Bolge and I'm not sure who that. I believe that's the 01. I can't really see the number there. It is the 01. Yes, it is the 01 making a move to the outside, and they're already getting some good advantage. You saw him dip 3 wide earlier within the last few corners, and Paul Granada gets turned in front of the field.
And off into the apron. We'll have to see if that brings out a caution, but he definitely got turned from the race lead there. But not what you'd like to see. Also, another car, the 24 of Logan Hartman, did get into the outside wall in the trial there, but no caution here as Hunter Ellis runs up front, and the caution's out.
Yeah, I was suspecting there was going to be no caution since he kind of spun down and below the apron, but now the caution has flown. I believe it might have been from the race control themselves, and you see Paul Granada, who was down in the lead, just leading this race with all comfort, gets turned by his own teammate in the front of the field, and it's sent to the inside wall. I'm not sure if there's too much damage, but we'll take a replay and see what happened. You see the field coming off of turn 4. Paul Granada just gets a little bit too low. And there goes the 26.
And the 26 of Eli O'Quinn does hit the outside wall pretty hard there. Definitely not terminal damage, but he'll definitely get a fast repair. And the 24 of Logan Hartman, looks like he did go through the ice and kind of pancake the wall there. A good save for that car, but we're under caution once again.
Yeah, already a third caution of the night, and boy, well, we've seen some odd incidents between the past couple of cautions, and I think this one might have been the most strangest. I mean, these are 2 teammates. I know might have been just a mistake by Paul Granada there, who was just trying to get that bumper to the back and try to make a move, but just couldn't get the right positioning and just sent him down to the inside wall. But now that means Ellis in the 01 is now up front in that 01 Ford Mustang. Jack Bolge also on the outside line. They got the advantage after the caution, so now they can kind of organize themselves through the front of the field. So pretty good strategy for them already early.
Yeah, and this allows them to slide up to the front 2 spots. Definitely a product of the leader wrecking, but they're going to have the advantage on this next restart. And yeah, well, we'll just have to see what they can do with it. But looking down pit road here, again, another round of pit stops. Only 3 cars from the race lead. Here comes Kobe Wells down with them too, but Aiden Kirker does stay out with Josh Duke and Brady Weileman. So they'll be the cars staying out here as people such as these guys come in for service.
Yeah, it was a much more split decision pit road this time. You see some more drivers, just about half the field going down pit road. Jack Bolge was one of those drivers. Kobe Wells also getting service. Eli O'Quinn getting some damage fixed after the wreck. Paul Granada also down in service. You see these guys exiting pit road now. And, oh my goodness, a tight battle there, but I believe the 01 might have had him.
Yeah, the 01 does win the race off of pit road. As, yeah, it looks like he'll be starting just outside of the top 5 in 6th.
All right, well, these guys form themselves back up. Aiden Kirker now to the lead in the 39. The 32 also right behind him. Wheeleman in the 51 rounds out the top 3. And now that they're kind of forming themselves back up, well, we should be going green within the next 2 laps. But already some small wrecks we've seen tonight. I know this is not a very big field. There's just about a 12-car field here tonight, and not too big of a turnout. But we've seen already some fair share of chaos within this race, don't you think?
Yeah, and with that fair share of chaos, we have seen a fair share of good racing as well. We saw some big runs. The outside lane tried to form and try to get up front. So that outside lane is capable of pushing someone out to the lead, and it's no doubt that'll be used throughout the race. But towards the end, we'll just have to see who chooses the outside lane and who chooses the inside, and what the strategy is coming down to the final laps.
Yes, sir, you are correct. And now that I believe we're almost getting the 1 to green signal very soon. Not yet. We're still gonna leave 2 to green this time by, so we're gonna give a couple more pace laps before we go green. And now that we have a little bit of break, I know I mentioned it earlier in the race, but if you want to join the conversation for tonight's event and for any event in the KBRN YouTube channel, you can join the conversation by using hashtag AskKBRN. You can ask any question you want related to the race down to the booth, and we'll be sure to answer those questions in the chat. We're very involved within the chat here, so if you want to ask anything specific between these drivers, or anything about the race itself, or anything about KBRN in general, you can just ask that, and we'll be sure to answer those questions. We had our fair share of comments in our last race, and we had a lot of fun doing that, so it would be a lot of fun doing it here as well. So now that we've approached lap number 24, we still have the 2 to go signal. Aiden Kirker still at the front of the field in his Marine Chevrolet Camaro ZL1 1LE. And I think that might have attributed to the wreck that we saw earlier with Paul Granada. I mean, these noses are infamous for being a little bit pointy. The Camaro noses are just infamous for being that type of way. And I know that if you kind of give the wrong bump at the wrong time, it could send someone around you. Is that kind of the product that we saw here within that last wreck?
Yeah, definitely. And obviously, if you get the nose in the wrong place, that'll turn them around. So yeah, that's definitely what we saw. So yeah, especially if you're sitting in second and you get the nose under them, they can chop it off or something, they'll turn themselves around. But yeah, but I've been looking at these paint schemes for a little bit. It looks like each car up here is presenting a different branch of the military, so that's a really cool thing to do for Memorial Day, obviously representing our country. But yeah, it looks like, yeah, I don't know, that's just really cool.
Yeah, we have our great batch of Memorial Day and patriotic paint teams tonight. And last night was the Coca-Cola 600 at Charlotte Motor Speedway. That's one of the more marquee races when it comes to Memorial Day weekend. And I know that we couldn't get the Monaco Grand Prix and the Indy 500 down due to the pandemic that's happening. But I think with this weekend, it's the patriotism still doesn't fade with what's going on, even with all the events being canceled and such. But it's a good display of patriotism to the country, and especially today, out of all days, it's a really good thing to show the support, especially now.
Yep. Pace car lights are off heading into turn number 3. We will go back green flag racing here. We haven't reached halfway in the race yet, but do you expect to see the same kind of stuff that we've seen before?
I think so. I think especially with these guys up front, they're gonna want to work together, especially down below. I know there's, I believe, 2 Mustangs. Oh no, not 2 Mustangs, but still, I think with these guys, they're gonna try to work together as much as they can. I know there've been some attempts through the outside lane, but we'll just see what happens. But so far, the 39 of Aiden Kirker and the 32 of Duke lead them back to the green flag. A restart of lap number 25.
The 39 car did jump out, just slide down to the race lead here. That'll leave Hunter Ellis last on the high side. But a lot of those military branch cars line up on the bottom. We'll see if they're working together. It does look like it though. But Hunter Ellis is gaining a bit of ground on the outside. He'll try to go for the race lead.
Yeah, Hunter Ellis has been left to fend himself on the outside lane. He's done that multiple times throughout this race, and he does it once more with Paul Granada now to helping him in support as well. The 42 gets into the 95. Got a little bit tight and washed up the track, but not too much of a big deal. That'll kind of suffer for the 01, who was trying to get that outside lane moving with Paul Granada, but now the inside lane starts to ditch the outside lane just a little bit. As you see these guys, all the military branch cars up front in the 1.
Yeah, and a better pickup there for the high line once you start to get that disturbance kind of wave type effect when a car bumps up into you. That'll dissipate the outside lane. So 5 cars in a straight line here, and the outside lane looks to try to make another run for the front.
Yep, these guys all in a line making their way through the front, and I think they're trying to keep it just a little bit more conservative this time around, especially since they've already seen some wrecks early in the run. I think they might want to try and keep it just a little more cleaner, just so they can, within the next portion of the run, they might be able to get an opportunity. Paul Granado looked to the high side there for a second, but just didn't get the right look, didn't think it was the right place to go at the time, so he's going to stay on the inside as Jack Belsha in the 11 and the 01 of Hunter Ellis working together once again on the outside lane.
Yeah, we've seen a bit of teamwork from them in the race earlier here, but they're looking to make the outside line work, and it is coming, it is lurking, and Hunter Ellis looking to take the race lead here.
Boy, I feel like the high line is just a hit or miss here at Daytona, because you can have significantly lesser cars on the outside lane and still get a move going and still get that run that'll challenge to the front pack. I think that's one of the more interesting things when it comes to this outside line, and one of the more underrated parts of the outside line, especially here at Daytona. The whole field working together. Hunter Ellis still on the outside. Jack Belsha continuing to make the fight for the lead, but Aiden Kirker down low. As you see, I believe that's the 32 of Duke, who seems to file back. I think he might have thought the situation was just a little bit sketchy, decided to fall back through the field. But look at the challenge for the lead now. We have a challenge for the lead. Hunter Ellis and Jack Belsha now fighting for the top spot.
Yeah, and Jack Belsha did take the race lead here from Hunter Ellis before Hunter Ellis could hop down. So the 11 car leading at lap number 30 with the 39 of Aiden Kirker to help. But the outside lane isn't done yet. They're probably going to jump up there and try to go for the lead once again.
Yeah, we've had some significant moves for the lead. You see some of the guys near the rear part of this pack. You see Hunter Ellis, Eli O'Quinn, who was involved in that last incident, the 32 who backed out just a little bit earlier, and Jaden Lawson in the 76, who's trying to stay low in the back. I think he's just trying to keep it conservative right now. He might be expecting a wreck to happen soon within the front of this field, but so far, Jack Belsha making the move on the inside. He's making it work. He's going to lead lap number 31.
Yeah, we see a bit of a gap, about a 4-car length gap between the first 5 cars, but obviously they're going to catch back up. But lots of teamwork here, but I don't see the outside line working as much this time, because last time they had 3 cars, but then the first car jumped down, so now they're down to 2 cars. So as we see a couple cars hopping up, but maybe we'll see the resurgence of Canon.
It's been a small pack, but there's been tight racing all throughout the racetrack, and you see that especially happening up front with the 01 of Hunter Ellis, who continues to give the pressure to the 11, who was just helping him. I think there was somebody in the wall. That might have been Logan Hartman in the 24, might have struck the wall there, but not too much damage. He'll keep it straight. And oh my goodness, look how loose the 51 got going into the front straightaway. That could have been disastrous.
Yeah, we've seen our fair share of saves here. These cars do get loose when you even tap the apron. Just tap it. Doesn't take much, but we've seen a lot of good saves. A few from Paul Granado earlier, but pretty impressive.
Whole field continues to work themselves on the inside line, continuing to be the dominant line tonight and keeping the shorter way around the racetrack intact. But now Hunter Ellis and Kobe Wells still trying to put up a fight. They've kind of been comfortable there on the outside lane. They haven't had too much. And oh my goodness, here comes Paul Granado. Gets way loose. He's able to save it. No, never mind. Gets hit into the wall, up into the wall, and that's another caution tonight. Lap number 33. Paul Granado involved once again.
Yeah, not a whole lot of damage to that race car. Actually, a bit of front end damage there. We're gonna go ahead and get a replay for you guys here.
Well, that almost looked like it could have been the save of the day, but just wasn't enough. I think he might have got caught between these 2 cars. He does. Almost gets it completely saved, and then rounds up into the 46, and that's when he goes around. The 46, I believe he didn't go around. He was able to keep it straight, but Paul Granado involved in an incident once again on lap number 33. I was just going to ask if we were getting a little more comfortable within a run and maybe could possibly have a longer run, but now that we've seen this, I think that's pretty much broken that apart already.
Well, I think that was one of our longer runs of the day so far. So one of our longer runs. So these guys started to settle down and you know, kind of run conservatively, but you know, obviously, yeah, a car still wanting to get up front, as we saw the 11 car, the 01 car, the 4 car did try to get up that high side and try to make their way up towards the front. So we've seen that, but we've also seen a bit of conservativeness. But looking down pit road here, we'll see if there's any takers. Looks like pretty much everyone will come down once again.
Yeah, the whole field comes back and down. Eli O'Quinn, Jaden Lawson, among the people who did not go in pit road, is planning to stay out this time around. See the whole field coming down pit road. Jack Bolche will lead them down. A couple of the other guys in the military branch cars moving down pit road. Colby Wells has stayed near the rear of the field, who was working on that outside lane earlier in the run, but just couldn't get it. Paul Granada just sends it into the pit road. And we'll see what these guys line up. I mean, a good strategy. But I believe that's the 42 and the 51. They seem to get the run off of pit road.
Yeah, and they shoot themselves back up to the front here. The 11 car, back in 5th place. He slid back a little bit. But, yeah, Eli O'Quinn did stay out there. So he's going to be back up front and in contention for it. 42 car obviously coming out second, 51. But, yeah, we've seen a lot of shuffling on pit road, and seen a lot of guys from the front go to the back. We see some guys from the back go to the front. So that's kind of the strategy that plays out here at Daytona. We see Air Force One landing in the background, but yeah, that's what plays into just the intensity and the strategy in these races.
Yeah, it looks like Air Force One might be taking a look at the Memorial Day action we're having here at Daytona. Just joining in on the fun, I guess. Here at Daytona, they have the airbase not too far, so the plane and the track give a kind of a scenic vibe here at Daytona. But already these guys up in front, there was the 2 guys who didn't go on pit road. Eli O'Quinn, Jaden Lawson were those 2 drivers who didn't go on pit road. They don't go this time, so they plan to stay out today. And I believe that's one of the strategies for Jaden Lawson. I think that was his strategy, to just hang in the back, and then when the right moment comes around, you take advantage, especially down the pit stops with this pit strategy, and then you can go and take the move for the lead.
Yeah, and that strategy is getting his lap back.
Yep. Yeah, I think I have a lot of trouble with counting lap cars. I've had sort of trouble. But I mean, Eli O'Quinn, he was also one of those drivers who was kind of hanging in the back after he got spun in the front of the field, but now he's gonna take the lead. He's not a lap down, so now he's to the front of the field. But already some insane racing here on lap number 35. We're just about halfway through this race, and we'll take one more commercial break before we go green. You're watching the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series Memorial Day racing from Daytona.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson. Unbelievable finish. It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
they go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race.
Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett low. 4 wide at the stripe.
For all he's worth here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out?
Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
Back underway here at Daytona, so that ad took a little bit. Wasn't expecting to take that long, but Eli O'Quinn does lead them back to the green flag here, and 42 car staying even with him. But again, the outside lane is going to get a run. We'll see if he can help him. 51 also looking up. There he goes. 42 car might take the lead down the back straightaway.
Yeah, he's been challenging for the leader. I believe that's his teammate in the 51. They're working together, all of them on the high side. Eli O'Quinn now getting some support from the 11 of Jack Belsha, and that's one of the first times he's leading tonight, apart from the wreck with Paul Granada. But now he is back up into the lead. Hunter Ellis now works himself to the bottom line, the 32, also behind them, and they're seeming to kind of bridge their way in front of the outside line off of 4.
Yeah, the 42 car didn't get the run that he wanted to try to get out front there. Hunter Ellis slides himself into the 3rd spot once again. A lot of these cars dropping back, but Hunter Ellis in no man's land. No one's back up there to help him. Here comes Paul Granada to help him, and he'll make another run for the race lead. And he's one of the more provocative cars who's trying to hop up top and try to get up to the front. So obviously showing that here is down the back straightaway.
Yeah, I was just about to mention how Paul Granada has been possibly the boldest driver tonight. He's been making some of the more wilder moves, and I know he's been involved in some incidents early in the run, but already he's been proven to be one of the more fearless drivers here at Daytona. He's the guy that's looking to take more chances, and he's taking a chance by going to the outside right now behind Hunter Ellis, but they're still trying to fight their way back into 3rd on the inside line to try and challenge for the lead on lap number 40.
Yeah, and we passed halfway in this race, so about the second half of this race, we'll start to see the intensity picking up, the aggressiveness picking up, and cars who started late in the back, they're going to try to go up to the front here. So Eli O'Quinn leads them on lap number 39. And the 11 car starts to hop up. He'll go up to the high side. He's looking for the race lead. That moves the 32 of Josh Duke, helping in 2nd place to help Eli O'Quinn.
Jack Belsha and the 01 of Hunter Ellis continue to work together on the high side as here they come now challenging for the lead among Eli Quinn, the 32, Jaden Lawson 3rd in line on the inside. Still side by side, I believe Eli O'Quinn was the leader of that lap, but they're looking to make a big charge right now on the outside going into turn 1.
Yeah, one of the key factors of running the outside line is definitely staying in a straight line, obviously. But if a few cars start to get wobbly, that'll dissipate it, and that'll ruin their run that they want to get up to the front. We saw kind of in turn number 1 there. So a big key, as we see him wash up the 32 car, a big key of getting that outside line going is learning how to manage the pushes, get the pushes, and be the pusher.
Yeah, you have to take a lot of rolls if you're here at Daytona, especially if you're some of these guys. A lot of guys are taking the pusher roll. Oh my goodness, Eli Quinn gets shuffled out. Got loose in front of the field, but is able to keep it straight. But that's going to hurt his run again as he had another tough moment in the front of the field. Boy, it's been very unlucky for Eli O'Quinn tonight, but the 32 now takes his place. He'll try to run for the lead on the back straightaway as the 11 gets turned in front of the field.
And this could be the big one here, as a lot of cars still piling in. Paul Granada there does get into the outside wall, but another big wreck here on the back straightaway. And
Hunter Ellis was involved in that as well in the 01. Kobe Wells was also among the drivers that got damaged from that, but that was the big one tonight. Jack Belsha got turned on the back straightaway, and that was enough to kind of knock the dominoes down and start a chain reaction between the drivers behind them. And we'll take a replay and see what happened. Jack Belsha was just in front of the field, and just another bad push, just another wrong timing push from the 01, and that sends the 4-round Jaden Lawson, the 46, into the wall. Paul Granada turns the 01, trying to come up down the racetrack, and this definitely is the big one affecting a lot of drivers today.
And a very large portion of cars that were involved here. You see the 11 car, just a big hit to the outside wall, and just a majority of the field was collected in this one, as 51 car with a pretty good record avoidance there. But the big one here at Daytona has struck.
Yep, and we were wondering at what time that would strike, and now, especially in the middle of this race, is when it has struck these drivers. And just a handful of drivers involved in that. Paul Granada was involved. You see him kind of shuffling through the field. He has some damage. Eli O'Quinn, I believe he was able to get through it because he got shuffled back in the field after getting almost turned in turn 1. So he kind of dodged a bullet there. But now on the, I believe this is the 5th caution tonight. The field will go down pit road once more. I believe the entire field will go down this time.
Yeah, and you see Josh Duke leading them down pit road. Paul Granada behind him. And once again, I wouldn't be surprised if someone from the back gets a good pit stop and jumps up to the front.
Here's the run down pit road. Jack Belsha is one of those drivers, but here comes the 32. Big move. He wins the race off of pit road. The 42 just slightly edges over the 51. And now I believe that's the 39 who's gotten there. Paul Granada. A bunch of Chevrolets here. Hunter Ellis now comes out. 24 of Logan Hartman. Jack Belsha is among the last drivers, and Jaden Lawson and Kobe Wells seem to be the last one getting service. So these guys win the race off of pit road. So good run there for the 32 of Duke, who wins the race off of pit road. He'll start on the front row, leading this race to the green flag on lap number 43.
In our caution here, a bit of a caution report here. We're under our 5th caution right now, translating to 14 laps. So we have seen a lot of green flag racing here, but 13 lead changes. Again, a good amount for a Daytona race, but fastest lap of the race was a 43.887 set by Jack Belsha, the victim, the biggest victim of that last wreck. And we have just under 30 laps remaining. We are in the second half of this race, so we've seen a fair share of aggressiveness, especially not even halfway in the race, and we've seen a big one. Kenneth, I have to ask you, do you think that we'll see another one of these big wrecks?
I think that now we're into this final stretch of the race. I think these drivers are going to be a little bit more bolder, especially when it comes to challenging for the race lead. So I think we will see a lot more wrecks when it comes to some drivers maybe miscommunicating, or some drivers just possibly getting in the wrong places at the wrong time. But I think now that these guys are going to bunch up together, now that we're in this final stretch until the race end at lap 70, I think that we're just going to see a bunch more chaos when it comes to the aggressiveness of these drivers.
Yeah, and with that pit stop, we did see a lot of those military branch cars shuffle back up to the front, so they're going to try and work together and try to help each other out here. But people like Hunter Ellis, who are up front there, is scored 5th or maybe 6th right now. Eli O'Quinn, who did get turned from the lead once again, he almost did. He did save it though. Got a good save for him. He's back there, dead last right now. Kobe Wells in that 4 car, another aggressive car driver in these super speedway races, sitting 10th, and yeah.
So we are sitting 1 to green with just about 26 laps remaining in this race. And now that we're at basically the latter portion of this race, is there something that you can expect when it comes to when we go back green flag racing? You think these guys are going to work together most of the time? You think we might see Jack Belsha and Hunter Ellis? Do you think those guys might make a move to the outside once again like they have the past couple races? I mean, restarts, excuse me.
Yeah, definitely. And when you you know, as much as some drivers want to get up to the front, they do have to kind of lay back and help other people out, because that's how you gain that trust. And you know, if you go for it, maybe someone you worked with earlier will go with you again. But base car is off. The 42 car of Cole Williams holding it back to the green flag and underway once again here at Daytona.
Back green, the 32 gets a beautiful jump to the restart. He goes down to the inside. 32 and a bunch of the military branch cars now together. Hunter Ellis, and there they go. That's what I mentioned. Hunter Ellis and Jack Belsha working together. Once again on the outside, Logan Hartman gets turned up. He gets a hard impact in the wall. Eli O'Quinn, Jaden Lawson involved in that as well. And the 6th caution comes out tonight just shortly after the restart. What a hard hit for the 24 into the outside wall.
As we got a replay here, this was on the restart. I believe the 24 car was one of the main victims in this wreck. We're just going to see what happened. It looks like he tried to stick it 3 wide and just comes up into the 4 car there. Let's collect Eli O'Quinn and that 76 car of Jaden Lawson. So, unfortunate for these guys who are, I guess, trying to stay in the back, try to be conservative, but, you know, it's Daytona, you're not really safe anywhere.
Yeah, and you asked the question, will these drivers get a little bit more bold throughout this run, and if they will cause another big one, and they have caused another large wreck of between 3 cars. So another caution here tonight. I believe our 6th caution of the night, rounding out lap number 46 of 70 laps run here today. And Duke continues to lead in the 32. He maintains his lead. Aiden Kirker in the 39 continues. He moves himself to 2nd. Hunter Ellis, who was just about to make a wild move to the outside with the 11, now in a 3rd. And you see the rest of the top 5. Williams in the 42 and Jack Belsha rounds out the top 5. And already some big wrecks here down in the middle. And that was possibly the quickest wreck we saw out of all the wrecks we've had tonight.
Yeah, definitely. It happened kind of an entry into turn number 1 there. As you know, it's just unfortunate to see, as I'm sure these guys, you know, sitting under pacing here, you know, in our last few Super Speedway broadcasts, we've obviously mentioned how agonizingly long these caution laps are. So I'm sure these guys will want to go back racing. Maybe they'll tone it down on the aggressiveness, and so they can get that green flag racing. But yeah, there's Josh Duke looking to lead the field back down to the pit road. Looks like Hunter Ellis, the 11 car, will stay out. A lot of cars staying out here, and these guys are going to drop to the back.
Yeah, these guys pitted, especially all the guys who had damage in the last wreck. Of course, they are pitting, but these guys up in the front, this top 3, Josh Duke, the 39, and Jack Belsha, who was also down on pit road. So they're making a good strategy here, going for some tires and fuel. I believe what might be a last run if we do go green the rest of the way. But 32 of Josh Duke leads them out. You see, oh my goodness, Jack Belsha with a tough pit stop there. The 46 got out before him, but he'll be able to get out soon enough. Colby Wells also one of the drivers to leave pit road. But now that the field is now just about separated, almost half and half again, I believe that'll give the lead to Hunter Ellis in the 01, who did not pit on that yellow flag, and he will lead the field to green once again. And I believe now that he doesn't have Jack Belsha to help him, now that he's kind of shuffled back to the outside, you think there's anyone he's kind of looking for? You think he might be looking around to try and find some guy to help him on the racetrack?
Well, as the great Mike Joyce says at Talladega, your friends are where you find them. And you know, as we start to approach the last portion of this race, really that statement is true, and it comes into play because really you just gotta make a move and hope someone behind you sticks with you, and the car behind you does determine if that move most of the time does work. So yeah, it definitely comes into play, especially with the laps winding down here at Daytona. Just over 20 laps to go here, as we're going to see the intensity pick up.
Intensity will pick up. Daytona International Speedway hosted a great race tonight in the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series round number 1, the inaugural Daytona 500. We'll take a short break, and we'll be right back on the other side with some green flag racing as we go 1 to green down here at Daytona. So we'll take a short break. We'll be right back soon after this. All right, well, short, very insane. Oh my goodness, I don't even know what to say. But green flag is back out here at Daytona. We kind of had some problems with the commercials there. We might have ran over time before we got green. So we're back green. Hunter Ellis now runs to the front of the field, but he's kind of getting left to dry by these guys on the inside. The 42 of Williams might make a move to the outside.
Yeah, and once again, we see the outside line coming into play here. Looks like Cole Williams might be able to clear him for the race lead. I think he has him cleared, but obviously staying up there. We'll try to hop up to the bottom. Paul Granada, also a car that's cleared. Paul Granada jumps to the bottom side below the 42. A miraculous move to get down to the lead, but we are 3 wide, a couple rows back.
Yeah, one of the first instances where we've seen 3 wide racing all the way down. And, oh, the guy's going into the wall. That did not last long. Kobe Wells is around on the racetrack. No caution, but now the caution flies for, I believe, the 6th time tonight. The 32 goes around just late in the run. Oh, my goodness. Now he gets punted by Logan Hartman. But it looks like they were going to go 3 wide racing there. And it looked like it was going to be some fun, but did not last long at all. And they decided they just couldn't keep themselves straight there. We're going to see what happened there. The 42 got up, and he was going to help. Right there, they were just about to help each other, the 2 teammates in the 39 and the 42, working 3 wide. Hunter Ellis was stuck in the middle, and then you see these guys in 95, Paul Granada, and then just a chain reaction there. They were just getting up into each other, and my goodness. And then you see after the wreck, the 32 gets into I believe that was Paul Granada, and then just gets loose and just turns himself around and gets some extra damage from Logan Hartman. So already another wreck here tonight. That lasted a little bit quicker. We've seen now, especially as we've gone down this run, we've seen some quicker yellows now that we've seen these guys try to make some more aggressive moves. And we were kind of right about this all along that we said.
Yeah, and we did get our first Ask KBRN question from Trip for Heisman. Hashtag Ask KBRN, will there be another big one? Well, I think we have seen a lot more wrecks here tonight. Obviously unfortunate to see, but it is setting up for a pretty good finish. These guys just want to go back racing and get green. But back to that question, will we see another big one? Yeah, I wouldn't put it out of the picture. I think that, with the aggressiveness that we've been seeing, it's definitely prone to happening.
Yeah, and especially the kind of wrecks we've seen later in this run as soon as the laps wind down. And now we have just about 19 laps to go, and we've already seen some chaos. And among that chaos is just a lot of lead changes. And now we see the 95 of Paul Granada, who now retains the top spot. He was just up and down throughout this race, going up front and then being involved in a wreck, then going back up front, and then getting some damage from another wreck, and then going back up front. And now he's up front now. So he's had a kind of a weird day, I should say. He's just kind of had a chaotic day. He's now in first. So I think if this can stretch out to the last, I believe so, 19 laps of this race, Paul Granada could have a good shot going into the end.
Yeah, and an up and down day for a lot of these guys. Guys have been up front. I feel like almost every driver has had a chance to lead this thing, but up and down days for pretty much all of these drivers, getting caught in wrecks, but obviously getting that fast up here and getting back out on track. But yeah, that fast pair is definitely a saving grace for these cars. Just to give them the opportunity to get back going racing. But obviously, with a faster pair, you do start to see a lot more aggressiveness because people do have that cushion of having a faster pair. I don't believe this might be unlimited faster pairs, if I'm not mistaken. Can you correct me on that?
I'm not sure. I believe there is unlimited faster pairs. I mean, we've seen these guys get involved in numerous incidents, and then they've come out back fresh as new on the racetrack. So I believe there are unlimited faster pairs in this race as far as I've seen, but I think either if there's a limit, then the limit is fairly high, because I think we've seen some of that being used here today.
Yeah, and it definitely brings a lot more aggression because people do have that cushion and know that they can just go and pull into the pits, get that faster pair, and get back going. So because it's just that easy with these things. So they definitely are using that to their advantage, and obviously a lot more aggressiveness on the racetrack.
Well, now that we work around our 6th caution of the day, Paul Granada continues to lead. He will lead the field to the green flag. And if you want to watch more KBRN coverage, you can tune in tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time for the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series, race number 2 at Richmond Raceway. We had an outstanding Daytona race last week, and we're looking to see some more exciting racing coming into race 2. That'll be 150 laps under the lights at Richmond Raceway. And especially that transition from super speedway to short track, I think that's going to be one of the more interesting things to talk about and see as that race progresses. So if you want to catch more KBRN action live tonight on Memorial Day, you could check that out at Richmond Raceway, iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, right here on the KBRN YouTube channel.
Yep, and I believe we're 2 to green. We might get the 1 to green mark here at Daytona. So looking to get back going green. Just under 20 laps left here at the World Center of Racing. Paul Granada is your current race winner. Leader, whoops. Is your current race leader. But looking to get the 1 to green mark here.
Yes, sir, and I believe the pace car lights will come off this time by, and they do. So Paul Granada will lead the field to green. He'll choose the inside line to go for the restart. That leaves Hunter Ellis behind him. The 51 of Wheeleman will line up first on the outside with Jack Bolche lining behind him. Jaden Lawson will be the 3rd on the inside line, and Eli O'Quinn, who's had an insane afternoon here at Daytona, he lines up 3rd on the outside lane. So I think one of the more interesting storylines has been the relationship between the 01 and the 11. They've seemed to work together very well throughout this race, and I know that I've covered some races before in some other leagues. I believe Jack Bolche is a member of ISRC, and I commentated a race that he was in with at Talladega. And he seemed to work together well with certain people, and I think he's developed that sort of relationship when it comes to drafting with people, and the 01 is one of those drivers he's chosen tonight.
Yep, and getting ready to go back green here. A couple more laps, just under 20 to go at Daytona. Paul Granada getting ready to lead the field back to the green flag here. And with Hunter Ellis behind him to help. The 11 car and the 01 car, obviously, cars who want to get up front pretty quickly here. They're in position. They are the 2 pushers here. Of the 2 leaders here. So all of us turn number 4 getting ready to go back green flag racing here at Daytona. Pace car will pull off and Paul Granada will lead them back, and we are underway once again.
Boy, a good restart by Paul Granada and Hunter Ellis. That inside line made a good jump as that outside lane kind of struggled to find their footing on that restart, but Hunter Ellis now works himself into the inside line. You see Kobe Wells now working to the outside, but then they come back down to the inside. Boy, they are leaving the 51 to dry up on the outside, but maybe we could see a move from the 01 going into turn 3 off the back straightaway.
Yeah, and the 01 and 11 car hooking up once again. These 3 cars on the outside lane, we've seen them work together pretty well here before. One of the only 3 cars who try to hop up. So lots of teamwork going on. But if I were to pick someone for the race win, it would be one of those guys.
Yeah, Hunter Ellis moves down to the inside after working with the 11, but now they're both challenging each other with Kobe Wells. A huge run down on the outside. Paul Granada still trying to hold his ground to the inside, but I believe the 11 will take the lead, and he does. Down in the inside goes the 11 coming off of turn number 2. Boy, a lot of shuffling up here.
Yeah, and obviously looking 3 wide. Kobe Wells in the middle there. Didn't want that car to get to the outside because he knows that when you're side by side like that, all you're going to do is just fall back there. But looks like Hunter Ellis will hop up with the 4 car trying to get behind him. And yeah, just approaching just 15 laps to go here in this race. The 11 car Jack Bolche in position, in a good position. But here comes the outside lane. They are not done yet.
Yeah, they are not done whatsoever. Hunter Ellis continues to work that outside lane. He's been the pioneer man for that outside lane all race long, and he continues to do so with Colby Wells behind him. The 42 and the 32 hard into the outside wall. They might have gotten hooked, but that leaves another caution on the racetrack with just 14 laps left.
Yeah, and
What a
another
hard hit.
Yeah, another caution here. Looks like the 32 car just maybe a misjudgment, thought he was clear, came down, but these were the last 2 cars on the racetrack. So under caution once again. Obviously, this leader's bit of aggressiveness, and maybe that's the racing we'll see come towards the end of this.
Yeah, I'm not sure what happened there. Might have been a misjudgment from the 32. He tried to work with the I believe that's the 42. Yes, the 42 who was trying to work themselves up. They fell back from the draft just a little bit, and I think as soon as they started working together, the 32 just made a rash decision there. I believe he thought it was clear at the time and just wasn't enough space. So turns him into the outside wall. They both have significant damage, and I won't be surprised to see them down pit road to get some of that damage fixed. But Jack Bolche with a move to the lead. Hunter Ellis right behind him, and what a race we've seen from these two. Have been working together significantly along with Colby Wells, but these two have been working together most of this race. You think that now we're approaching this final portion of the race, you think they might ditch that relationship they had in this race and just go all out for the win?
Well, I mean, obviously if they're on a team together, which I don't really know, I'm not really sure of the team situation here, but obviously if you're behind someone off of the final corner and you want to go for it, I mean, it's flat out, you know, it's kind of a shootout, kind of a drag race to the finish, and if you get that run, obviously you can take it from them. But after that, no cars going in for pit road this time. Maybe this has the damage cards back here. Yeah, I hear that come, but no takers this time with no damage. So these cars are trying to stick it out and wait till the end.
Yeah, we have another Ask KBRN question in the YouTube chat. It's by the man JJ Hill. He asks, will there be a pre-race show for Bundy League? And Bundy, of course, we mentioned Bundy League is at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight on KBRN, and I believe we might have a pre-race show this time around. We might start the stream just a little bit earlier through the practice so we can get some pre-race interviews and kind of get a feel of what the drivers think going into Daytona. And then, of course, we'll roll around with the main broadcast, and we'll have some fun there at Richmond Raceway. But I believe there will be a pre-race show. So if you're watching, just stay tuned tonight at 9 p.m. Eastern, and we'll bring some good action for you on the Bundy Lawn Care Series here tonight at Richmond Raceway. But we're not done with this race just yet. 12 laps to go here at Daytona for the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series round number 1. Of course, our next race will be at Las Vegas. I'm not sure how many laps that is. I'm going to have to recheck that. But as soon as I check that, I'll give it to you. And Las Vegas, I know it's this league mostly follows the real-life NASCAR schedule, but the finale is at North Wilkesboro. So that's one of the more interesting things to see throughout this season, and of course it all started here at Daytona.
Yeah, the NASCAR Cup Series schedule is an exciting one. We see a lot of unique tracks that we go to, so it'll be a fun season for sure to watch for both series, really, for Bundy Lawn Care Series and WLRC. So yeah, looking to get the 1 to green mark here. I believe we will. I'm ready to go back green flag racing. We will get the green flag with, if we do go 1 to green here, we'll just have to see, but we will go green flag racing with just above or below 10 laps to go. Yeah, there we go. So we're going to take the green with 11 laps to go.
Yeah, we are approaching this final portion of the race, and as soon as we get to 10 laps to go, I think the intensity will pick up even more, and that's sort of the trend we've seen throughout these super speedway races. I think some guys kind of get into it early, and then you see some crashes happen between the midway portion of the race, and I think these guys then learn from that, and then once it comes down to the last 10 laps, they seem to go all out for the win. And we saw what happened in the Bundy Lawn Care Series. They're approaching 10 laps to go on a green flag run when somebody wrecked, and that stacked up the field, and then they approached 2 green-white checkers we had that night before we could decide the winner. So you think we might see some of that here tonight? You think these guys are going to try to keep it a little more conservative to try and make a move for the win?
Yeah, definitely, but if it's 10 laps to go, it is crunch time, so obviously if you're in position, you do have a chance to win this race, and you want to do it, obviously, take the season opener win, because Daytona is a pretty big place, and it's a place that a lot of people want to win at, and it's one of the easier places to win at, more so to say. But yeah, if you're in position, you know, just go for it.
Yeah, and you mentioned go for it. There's another Ask KBRN question down the track by the NASCAR Fanatic. So it says, who do you think will win this race? Well, for me, I'm going to have to go with Hunter Ellis. I mean, Hunter Ellis has been one of the more prominent drivers throughout this race, and he has been working together with a handful of drivers, and I think he might be the one to watch. Charlie?
Yeah, my pick, obviously another experienced driver, is going to be the 4-car of Kobe Wells. He's in position. Those two cars, our two picks, are lined up on the high line, underway once again. 10 laps to go here at Daytona.
Jack Belsha got a really good start, but Hunter Ellis and Kobe Wells continue to put up a fight on the outside. Paul Granada now sits himself down in the second on the inside line. He's got a good position to get up, and look at this. Kobe Wells makes a move to the inside, leaving the 0-1 to dry, but he's looking to file himself back on the inside line. We see some more shuffling behind that.
Yeah, Paul Granada moved himself back up into the second spot here, pushing the leader. A little bit of a small half a car length breakaway there, but into turn number 3, Jack Belsha with the advantage, and filing out single file, but you know, coming to just 10 laps to go here at the stripe. I wouldn't have thought the high sign lane. I've been talking about it all race, but I do trust that it'll get up there. But we're looking single file throughout the entire pack.
Yeah, it is the first time they've gone single file the entire way around the racetrack, and I think they're just trying to set up a strategy to make a move within the final laps of the race, and that's what I mentioned. You think these guys are going to just come down and be just a little bit more conservative through this last run and then set up a final move that'll happen within the 2 laps to go, or just possibly on the white flag. But I think some guys like Paul Granada will try to make the move on the outside. I'm not sure what Hunter Ellis will do. That's one of the more interesting things I'm looking for, is what Hunter Ellis will do and whether he'll dump the 11 or if he'll just leave him to drive for the win. But just about 9 laps to go left in this race. Jack Belsha continues to lead. Paul Granada not far behind Ellis. Hunter Ellis in the 0-1 sits third. Kobe Wells down in P number 4 in the 4-car, and Jaden Lawson, who is sitting down in the back for most of this race, he rounds himself in the top 5 right now.
Yeah, Paul Granada giving some pretty impressive pushes, large pushes here, but especially in these Cup cars, the oil temperature is probably one of the most sensitive out of all of the NASCAR cars, stock cars. So you have to manage that as he backs off a little bit. So once you see that gauge start to blink red here, as you see here, well, you can't really see it, but if that gauge starts to blink red, the oil temp gauge, you do want to back off, try to cool it down, and give some more pushes.
Yeah, and if you're wondering why you see some of these guys maybe look to the outside or maybe look to the inside, sometimes they're not looking to make a pass. Sometimes they're just trying to get some of that clean air, some of that fresh air to get back in their engine because their oil temperatures are getting a bit too high. So if you see that happening, that'll probably happen within these next runs. And you see there it is, Paul Granada looking to the inside just to get some of that air back. And now he's just right on the bumpers, the 11, as we approach just about 7 laps to go.
So far, no mistakes as the laps start to wind down, but the outside line looking to form up a little bit as we approach just the 7 lap to go mark here at the stripe. But outside lane isn't done yet, so if I were to guess which lane is going to win this race, I'm going to say the outside.
Yeah, mentioning the outside, I think Kobe Wells was just taking a peek out there to the outside and see if he can make a move, but just not yet, and now he almost does. Hunter Ellis and the 4 of Kobe Wells working together, but they just couldn't get 2 in front of the 46 and the 24, so we could see 3 wide for the lead as, oh my goodness, they just check up behind them, but oh my goodness, that could have been big. But the 0-1 of Hunter Ellis and the 4 of Kobe Wells working together once again. They could challenge for the lead as they go down the front straightaway to the start-finish line.
Looking like very old-style, early 2010 racing tandem drafting here to see those 2 cars. But obviously these cars really aren't capable of that. But you know, you can lock onto bumpers and push them out to the front, especially if you're on the outside and you want to get that run. So we're starting to see it here. But the 76 of Jaden Lawson, one of the cars he's been in the back kind of throughout the portion of this race, starting to move up front. He moves up to the 3rd position.
And here comes the formation of the outside line. The 46 tries to help these guys. That's Ricky Mandonka in the U.S. Army machine in the Mustang. But look at Logan Hartman. Now this outside lane is starting to work together. They could make a charge for the lead if we approach, as we approach just about 5 laps to go here.
And the
oh my goodness, we have the 76 of Jaden Lawson just got loose there. Eli O'Quinn was also doored there on the inside, but they seem to keep it together as we are now 5 laps to go. That spread out this field dramatically. Now the 46 and the 24 working together. They could make a charge, but the 11 and the 95 continue to dominate down the back straightaway.
And the 46 car hopping up top. First time we've seen him do that. Another line leader here. One of the first cars to jump up in front of the 01 or the 04. But looking inside, the 46 car hard into the wall. Oh my goodness, that is a hellacious wreck. And the 4 car of Colby Wells is also involved. And another big wreck. This will push us into a green-white checkered.
Boy, he was breakdancing on the front straightaway there, just upside down, and a hard hit into the outside wall. Colby Wells also involved in that. You see the bumper off of the car. And now that pushes us to a green-white checkered for the first time tonight. And it looked like it was going to go clean the rest of the way through, but I think just a miscommunication there happened as we'll take a replay and see exactly what went down on the racetrack. You see Hunter Ellis was trying to work with the 46, and not sure what might have happened there. You see them go down the outside. Hunter Ellis just, I believe he peaks, yeah, right there, just a little bit low, and the 46 goes around right there, hits the 24 and hard into the outside wall. Oh my goodness, he just caught air.
And spinning like a top down the front straightaway. And coming to rest, I believe he had to tow that race car. Yeah, there's no getting that thing over, especially with that blown engine. So, yeah, that might be the end to his run here. If he can get another wave around and try to get back on. But this does push us into a green-white checkered finish. So we're going to have a 2-lap shootout. And a lot of these guys, looks like the 4 car of Kobe Wells who was caught in that, obviously dropping to the back, Hunter Ellis as well. So, Hunter Ellis lost a few spots there, but Jack Bolche staying out in front, and we'll see if cars try to take that pit road strategy.
Yeah, it looks like most of the field, though, Progranant, and all of them actually fake out of the pit road, but Hunter Ellis is one of the first people to go down pit road. Eli O'Quinn, Jaden Lawson, of course, Kobe Wells, who had damage. He's obviously going to go down pit road to get that fixed, but an interesting move by Hunter Ellis, who was running up front before that caution. This could be a move for the race if he could get up there and have some partners up there with him. Goodness, the Ford just missed his pit stall.
No, he made it.
Oh man, he just side drafted it. He just side drifted into there, into that pit stall. Yeah, we saw that with Paul Granada earlier in the race when he was trying to fake, and then he went down pit road and almost spun it around down there. So you see Kobe Wells getting his damage fixed. Jaden Lawson comes out of pit road, and just a handful of drivers down pit road, but so far up front it looks unchanged. Jack Bolche down in the front of the field. Paul Granada lines up in second. That'll leave Aiden Kirker in the 39 to start in 3rd place on the inside line on this restart. And now that we're into this green-white checkered, we saw this with the Bungeon series. Do you see this extending to all 3 green-white checkered attempts?
Well, you know, one of the trends I've seen, if we push into a green-white checkered, a lot of the time, most of the time, majority of the time, especially the races that I've raced in myself, we've only used 1. So, you know, obviously it's not out of the picture. I believe that, you know, with the aggressiveness that we've seen, it might push into more attempts, but for the most part, I think it's just kind of a one and done thing.
Yeah, we saw the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series stretch to 2 green-white checkers before we finished that race and dropped the checkered flag. So I think it's going to be kind of a throw-up on what it's going to be up in the air, how many attempts these guys will use. I'm not sure whether there's just 3 attempts or whether it's unlimited. I remember in the Bungeon Lawn Care Series there were 3. So I think there might just be 3 this time around. But of course, if we get another caution, if we go green here before we reach the white flag, we will go to another green-white checkered, and we'll continue to go until the checkered flag is dropped and the winner is announced. So Jack Bolche now in the catbird seat, and we mentioned this. I want to ask you this, Charlie, before we go green soon enough, is now that if you're in the lead, if you're the 11 of Jack Bolche, and we mentioned this last week with the Bungeon Lawn Care Series, now you're kind of in the catbird seat. Is there kind of some more pressure when it comes to leading this field to green, or you think he kind of has his plan kind of set out with the guys behind him?
Well, if you're the leader, you're obviously sitting ducks because there's really no way you can block the runs that you get, especially on the outside, especially unless you're very talented. But I'm not discrediting these guys, but obviously if you're sitting there, you are in the catbird seat, and obviously someone can get a run and steal the win away from you. That's just the way it is. So obviously the place you want to be is behind someone. So obviously that's the strategy. So yeah, so Jack Belsha does find himself in a tough spot here because he really has to depend on the pushers behind him.
And of course, we mentioned before we go green here, you see all these patriotic scenes that we see on track here tonight. And of course, that is honoring the men and women who fight for our country to keep us safe here and keep our freedoms alive, as well as the ones that we've lost along the way. So it's a sort of a ceremony for those people, and it's a celebration to all the men and women who have fought for our country. So of course, all these drivers appreciate all the work that they do to keep us safe and allow us to kind of have moments like these where we can have little iRacing races and put these races on for everybody down there and YouTube and everybody. So of course, these guys showing their love for the country here tonight and those people. So and we see a patriotic car up front, the 11 with the stars and the stars on the car, and the FedEx car that says "Thank you, troops" on. I believe that says that on the hood, and then of course all the batch of military branch cars behind them.
Yep, and Jack Belsha, we did get the 1 to green mark, so Jack Belsha will lead them to the green flag for 2 more laps. But obviously, if they wreck, we do have another attempt here. So that's just the way it is. So that'll push us into overtime. So bit of an interesting here. The 39 car does have a small bit of damage to the rear end of his car. I don't know if we can get a good camera angle to see it. But he does have that damage. I'm not sure. I don't think it will affect him that much. Maybe not the 39, the 42 car, I should say. I don't think that'll affect him that much, but definitely see. Oh yeah, the 39 does have a bit of a dent here. So
yeah, but we saw that with guys like Blaze McKinney, who kind of had damage in the Bunch and Lawn Care series, and guys who had damage on the rear end of the car and didn't really get affected too much when it came down to the drafting. They still were able to put up a fight in the draft. So I don't think it will affect him too much, but we'll just see what happens as he's lining up behind the race leader, Jack Belsha, who will lead us to green. Paul Granada rounds up on the outside, 39, and the 42, of course, lining up behind them. And of course, as they go down to the start-finish line, green flag is back out on the first attempt of green-white checkered.
And minute tires come for the 95 of Paul Granada. Obviously, old tires do come into a factor, especially when you restart on the banking here of the triable. So that's just the way it is. But underway once again, Aiden Kirker is clear. Here comes Paul Granada. You did slide down, so seeing a bit of formation, but on the back straightaway, they start to fan out.
Yeah, look at this outside lane starting to form. Hunter Ellis was the leader of that before they formed up to the outside line. And oh my goodness, some more contact, but oh my goodness, how did they keep that straight? And they shuffled all the way into turn 3, and they seem to keep it straight. But look who's back up front. Paul Granada continues to push the 11 of Jack Belsha to the front as we approach the right flag down the front straightaway.
And almost a bit of contact there, back there, but 1 lap to go here. Jack Belsha and Paul Granada do have a couple car length breakaway here, so these cars behind them will get another big run. That 42 car and the 4 car will get a big run, maybe down the back straightaway, and very old style tandem drafting racing here. But here comes the 42 car, a bit of contact right there for the 24 car. But down the back straightaway for the final turn. Here goes the 42 car up the racetrack, wrecking behind him, and Paul Granada up to block into turn 3 for the final time. Kenneth?
Yeah, they were wrecking all the way down the back straightaway, but here's a move. Paul Granada to the front of the field, battling for first with Jack Belsha. Kobe Wells worked himself to the second on the inside line, but off of turn 4, here they come side by side to the line. Paul Granada, Jack Belsha to the line. Jack Belsha will get the win here at Daytona by just an inch or just a couple of inches over Paul Granada, but what a finish between those two. Jack Belsha with his first win in the opener round of the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series.
an impressive performance to keep those cars going straight to the line. But Jack Belsha does take the race win here, and an exciting finish for sure. We did see a couple wrecks on the back straightaway, but all the focus was up front, and we had a 4-car race for the win here. So very exciting stuff, and I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, Paul Granada finishes second, Colby Wells in third, the 42 finishes fourth, and those guys were making a big run, especially Colby Wells. I was so surprised to see him up to the front on that last round but in those laps, and those guys are just wrecking all behind him, but that allowed the 4 of Colby Wells to make a really impressive move to try and push the 11 to the win. And you see the 11 now celebrating down the front straightaway, burning it down in the grass right in front of the logo. And what a win for Jack Belsha, who picks up his first win this season, and of course the first win, the first race of the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series, picks up the win. And what a finish. As we'll go down the results for you and see where everybody finished. So we'll get that up on your screen and see who was the winner tonight. Of course, Jack Belsha was the winner. Paul Granada finishes down in second, just 3 hundredths of a second, I believe, hundredths of a second behind Jack Belsha there. Tried to make a good move for the win, but just couldn't get it. He was just a little bit short. Colby Wells finishes within the top 3. Cole Williams finishes 4th, and then rounding out the top 5 is the 39 of Aiden Kirker, who had a promising race the entire race and just got a nice finish out of that. Jaden Lawson finishes within 6th after staying in the back. Josh Duke finishes 7th. Brady Willeman into 8th. Eli O'Quinn finishes 9th after a very up and down race, and one of the more chaotic races for Hunter Ellis. He finishes just inside the top 10.
Yeah, just outside the top 10, Logan Harvey in that 24 car does finish 11th here, and just 2 laps down, rounding out your field, is the 46 car of Richard Mendoka, who was caught up in that one of the final wrecks there and just couldn't get his car back going. So yeah, so before we begin the interviews, we're going to go ahead and slide ourselves aside for commercial break. Well, not commercial break. Before we get interviews started, we're going to slide ourselves aside, and we'll be back with your interviews from our top 5.
Coming up to the line, being chased, and it was Braden Johnson.
Unbelievable finish.
It was 1/1000th of a second between them.
Green flag in the air. We are racing in the 2020 24 Hours of Daytona.
They go door to door for the feature race lead here on the last lap of the race.
Side by side for the race lead in the final corner at Homestead. Down the back straightaway, 3 wide again for the race lead. This is unbelievable stuff here tonight.
Loma is going to have to be very deep on the brakes, and he is very deep on the brakes. It's side by side through the corner. This is for the win.
It'll be side by side. Davies low, Ottinger high. To the very inside is Garrett Lowe. 4 wide at the stripe.
For all he's worth here on this outside line, neck and neck. Who's going to back out? Does anyone back out?
Verstappen starts to squeeze on the inside, and now he'll try and straight line it. Goes under the apron, drag race to the line. It's so close to call.
Welcome back to the LWRC NASCAR Cup Series round number 1, the Daytona 500. And what a race we had, and what a finish we had up to the line. And the man who ended up taking the checkered flag tonight was the 11 of Jack Belsha. We'll bring him into the booth and see where he's at. I can't necessarily drag him into the booth, so I'm not sure. We'll see. We'll try to get that fixed as soon as possible. But I guess before we kind of do that, I want to ask you, Charlie, what was your kind of outlook into this race? What can you really take away from this race here tonight? I know that we only had 12 drivers, but what a race we had. Just tell us kind of your perspective. All right. Well, okay. We have Jack in the booth. So, of course, Jack, welcome to the booth. Congratulations on an outstanding finish and an outstanding win. Just tell us what was going through your mind through those green, white checkers and up to the finish line.
I was just trying to stay calm there. I knew most of the good people who've been racing up front were kind of towards the back, so I knew that I had somewhat of a good shot there. And that final restart, the 95 was a good push. And once we got single file for a bit, um, I felt like we really had a really good shot. And then the 95 and I think the 46 or 42 went high, and I had the 4 car, which is my friend, able to push me there. So he came in clutch like usual, and just worked out.
Yeah, and you mentioned pushing with other people. I remember you were running with Hunter Ellis for a majority of that race, and we saw you guys really working together well on the high side. Just tell us how that kind of started, and just tell us where that began, that you guys started working together.
Yeah, we used to race in a league on Forza back on Xbox, so we, I guess, reunited here for this league, and it's just really looking for people who could hold their lines, and Hunter was one of them, so it just worked out.
All right, well, Jack, before we let you go here, celebrate your victory, you have any sponsors you want to thank, or anybody you just want to thank in general?
Yeah, just gotta thank Happy Memorial Day. Thank you for everyone who served us, served our country. Gotta thank Colby for pushing me there, the 95 for getting me the lead, and of course the 01 for helping throughout the race.
All right, Jack. Well, we congratulate you on an outstanding victory here at Daytona. A great performance we saw from here today. So, of course, congratulations, and we hope to see you down in Vegas the next time you run here.
Yep, thank you.
That was Jack. Well, I believe we can drag him now. I'm not sure whether we can, but I think the admins, it's kind of an issue with the admins and stuff like that here. So we'll get to the next interview soon, and I'll let Charlie take this one away. And there he is out of the booth. So Jack Belsha with a win here tonight. A very, very impressive race for him tonight. He ran up front mostly the entire race. So now that we have Paul here, I'm just going to give it away to Charlie, and he'll give the interview. Charlie?
Well, Paul, this is Charlie in the KBRN booth. You got a copy with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we got you. Well, Paul, you rounded yourself out second, just short of a win here. But when we went into that green-white checkered, is there anything you could have done differently to try to snatch the win?
To be honest with you, I pushed the 11 pretty far ahead. I was looking at my mirror, and they were really far back. I was gonna make a move earlier, and I was like, I didn't want to get freight trained. Maybe if I would have had that corner back, I just pushed the 11 off turn 4 and then made a move. But no, honestly, the 11 was just a great push over there. Like, I helped him get to the front, and he stayed up there. Colby too. Like, it was just such a good battle up front if you get up there. But I think I could have done something different if I would have waited.
Yeah, and you mentioned kind of patience. What was that the strategy kind of going into the latter half of the race? Just kind of being patient, or were you just wanting to get up front and try to go for the win there?
I struggled on pit road a bunch tonight. I don't know what happened, but I was trying to stay up front, and I gave myself a speeding penalty and got to the back, and then I was working my way back up, and I finally got up there, and I was like, I'm not pitting anymore. So I got up front, and I was like, I'm going to stay up here. So pretty much it was the front the whole race, and stay up front was what I was trying to go with. It just didn't work out that way.
All right, well, Paul, you drove a pretty good race, pretty impressive race, rounding yourself out second here. And well, before I let you go, do you have any sponsors that you want to thank?
Not really. I just want to thank my team, Fast Line Racing, for giving me this call. Bracing Collins for actually making this call for me. But that's about it.
All right, well, Paul, we appreciate you coming out here for today's race, and we hope to see you next week.
Yep, thanks for broadcasting.
Yep. And that was Paul there, running himself out second here. We're going to go ahead and drag Colby in.
Yeah, I think we have some technical issues with the commentator booth, and I think we can drag them in now. So, oh no, not necessarily just yet. But now Colby's in the booth. I'll interview him here. Colby Wells, what a race you finished. You finished within the top 3. You finished on the podium. Just tell us how that race went for you tonight.
Yeah, the race at the beginning was rough. We had a bunch of cautions, and being on the officiating side of it, it's a little more stressful than it normally would be. So I had to get through a lot of bumps there. But the beginning of the race was rough, but we worked through it.
Well, you ran a very impressive race, and I know you were running with Hunter Ellis and Jack Bolche for most of the race. And just tell us kind of how the car felt in the draft. I know some guys are kind of getting a little bit loose between the corners and especially in the draft, but just tell us how the car felt. Was it kind of just a little bit looser on the end? Was it kind of tighter? What kind of things did you notice in the car throughout the race?
The car was a little bit, it depended where you were on the track and what the conditions were and how many people were around you. But entering the corner, the back end wanted to step out a little bit, and then exiting 4 is just a little bit tighter. But yeah, me, Jack, and Hunter, we've been friends for a while since the Xbox days, so normally work really well together.
All right, Colby. Well, very, very good race for you tonight. You finished out third. Before we let you go, is there anybody you want to thank here tonight before we let you go?
Yeah, I gotta thank my sponsors. Unfortunately, I'm not in the car this week. I'm not in the right paint scheme, but I gotta thank Asheville Rooftop Bar Tours, BK Paints, and all the guys there. And happy Memorial Day, and thank you to all the people who have served our country and are currently serving it and made the ultimate sacrifice. We all appreciate it. And
Yes,
thank you guys for
sir.
putting it on.
Well, we thank you for being a part of the show here tonight. Colby Wells finishing third. We thank you for joining us and taking the time here to speak with us in the KBRN booth, and we hope to see you next race down in Vegas.
Thank you guys.
Colby Wells finishes on the latter half of the podium, but a good finish for him regardless of that. So now that we have all the interviews out of the way, I was just going to ask you that before. We were kind of having the issues with getting the people into the booth, but what is the takeaway you have from this race? Is there anything you can take away from the ending of this race? Is there anything you noticed particularly between this race that is noticeable?
Well, I think today is kind of foreshadowing a pretty good season for us, or for this league. We saw, despite we had a bit of rough patches throughout the race, but, all in all, it was a good finish. We saw a lot of organization towards the end, and I think it was one of the better finishes to a super speedway race that I've called with you. So I had a lot of fun tonight, and I'm looking forward to the rest of the season.
Yes, sir, and so am I. And I know that we've ran 2 super speedway races here on KBRN. We had the Drexco iRacing League at Talladega, and then we had the Bungeon Lawn Care Series right here at Daytona. So we've had some experience covering these super speedway races, and tonight was just nothing short of, it was just not really different from what we've seen within the past couple super speedway races. But of course, great race regardless, and a great finish that we saw at the end between the 95 of Paul Granada and Jack Bolche. So as we round out and we're starting to wrap up the broadcast, what a race here from Daytona. Just a great race for the LWRC opener here at Daytona. And of course, next race, we will be live from Las Vegas Motor Speedway to cover race number 2. We're still trying to get the schedule out and see what day and what time that'll be. But of course, when we get that information, we'll send that out to you. And if you want to catch more Memorial Day action live here on KBRN, you can with the iRacing Bungeon Lawn Care Series live from the Richmond Raceway, going 150 laps under the lights. That'll be at 9 p.m. Eastern tonight, right here on the K1 Racing Network YouTube channel. So of course, for everybody here at the KBRN booth, for all the drivers here in the LWRC Cup Series, and for everyone down there and all the officials, for all the men and women who serve the country and who have served this country, thank you for your sacrifice to keep our freedoms alive. And of course, for everyone here at the KBRN booth, for Charlie Baier, my name is Kenneth Bueno, saying good afternoon and have a good rest of the day. Memorial Day from Daytona.